All right, welcome back. We continue. Bob Pompeani, Andrew Fillipponi. Right now, the game 2 is underway in the third period. It was 2-1 last check. Tampa had the lead. But, man, Andrew, I saw Montreal. I thought the better team against the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, they took the play to them, which I didn't expect to see. They won that series in 6. Tonight, they were all over Tampa until maybe the goal of the postseason that we saw from Barclay Goodrow with very little time left, 0.3 seconds to Blake Coleman. Coleman was unbelievable, set up by Goodrow. I never saw a goal like that, especially a buzzer beater of that nature, and all of a sudden that could be the game winner, as it turns out. We'll see.
Yeah, well, the game largely was played the way Montreal wanted to play it, and I think Tampa obliged. They were very sloppy. Some of the worst giveaways and some of the worst puck management I've seen from them all playoffs, and I give partial credit to Montreal. It also just seemed like Tampa picked an odd time to have probably one of its worst efforts in the playoffs. But you know what the difference is for me, Bob, when everything's said and done? Andrei Vasilevskiy. I mean, if you look at the shot totals in this game, Montreal's gotten way more pucks to the net than Tampa, and they don't have more goals because Vasilevskiy is the best in the business. And if anybody doubts the importance of goaltending or wants to continue to try to do it on the cheap, look no further than Tampa Bay. And look at the gulf or gap between Andrei Vasilevskiy and what the Penguins have in net right now. That's why they better do their darndest to improve that position this offseason.
Yeah, I think they will, but you're right. Vasilevskiy's been unbelievable. He's been that way for several years now, the best in the game, and you're seeing why tonight, although Carey Price is not seeing a lot of shots, and maybe that hurt him on that last goal. I'm not sure.
Price has got to stop that last one for me.
I agree,
he's in position there. He's got to stop that shot.
It was still a
With
wonderful
the money he's
effort.
making,
It's
his
still a
reputation.
wonderful
Oh, yeah,
effort.
no doubt.
Let's go to John in Newcastle kicking us off tonight. Hey, John, welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi, John.
Hi, gentlemen. I just wanted to talk about the Pirates here for a second. Bob, I know you're really kind of against this, but I've never seen Brian Reynolds' stock be as high as it ever has been. And if you're going to trade him, you got to trade him this year. I know you don't really like that, Bob, because I know in the past you said, you know what, you got to sign some of these guys. And I don't necessarily disagree with you, Bob, but you know what? The way he's playing right now, I think he is, I mean, as far as trade bait is concerned, I think I know Adam Frazier is probably the biggest trade bait we have, considering the fact that he can play all over the place. He's a left-handed hitter. And
it'll cost less, too. He won't. You don't want to give up as much.
I can't argue with that. But with regards to Brian Reynolds, I mean, for as bad and Pony, when you were talking about Polanco before, I mean, these are something that we all can look back in our past and say, why the God did I pay money for that? Why in the world did I spend money on that?
Though, at the time, John, thanks for the call. At the time, the signings of Polanco and Marte reviewed as good moves. I mean, they weren't exactly going into free agency. They just occupied some of their arbitration years, and it seemed, just like it did with Jose Tabata, that at the time it was a good move. The problem is when you do this and they don't live up to it and they get injured and things happen, all of a sudden you're on the hook for money you don't want to pay somebody who has not achieved much.
Yeah.
As far as Reynolds, though, Pony, I will say this. I mean, they still have 4 years of control with the guy. I got to believe that he's going to be consistent. He shows me that he's a pretty consistent player. He's a good center fielder. He can play left. He can play right. There's a lot to like about that. And I'll wait on him because I still think he's going to be a good player. Maybe not to where he is now, but if he's close, you still can get a lot for him at some point.
Well, I don't think that, I think that there's a lot of skeptics about, what his ceiling is as a major leaguer, and that's why I don't think he'll get traded. Because I think, he's played, for me, above his head so far this year. I think we're seeing that last year, the 60 games, you throw that out, it's not a good barometer for the kind of player he is. But, I have questions about whether he's really a guy that hits 315 or 320 consistently. He's never going to be a guy that hits for 40 home runs or more. I don't think he's built that way. I don't think he's going to develop into that kind of player. But Bob, I don't think in today's baseball, and maybe eventually it'll change, but I just don't think in today's baseball the Reynolds player or the Frazier player are as much in demand or as coveted as they were in years past. I mean, the Pirates have tried to trade Adam Frazier for what, a year and a half, 2 years? Mm-hmm. They still haven't been able to find, a deal.
Well, I think you have to be
that's
patient,
because,
and you have to look at somebody who has an injury potentially or a need, like a need for a second base. Somebody gets injured, you're in the thick of things. Sometimes it's hard to make that match because it's not that easy to do it.
I don't don't disagree with you on that, but I also think that teams now, they are programmed to want power. And that's what they want the most, more than anything else. They want guys that slug it, hit home runs. And Frazier doesn't do that. I mean, he's an old school throwback player. He's a singles and doubles hitter. And I just don't think those guys are really all that much in demand. You know, I mean, he's had a fantastic year, but I don't know. I just wonder about their real value because they're not the modern baseball player, if you catch my drift, Bob.
Yeah, but you still need guys to get on base and do other things. You can't have everyone hitting home runs. I get your point, though. Zeke tweets us, and he says this. How about this tonight? We spent a lot of time talking about Shohei Ohtani, who I think is the MVP even now. I mean, you don't see what he's been able to do this year with 28 home runs, but tonight he went to the mound at Yankee Stadium. 2/3 of an inning, 7 runs, 4 walks. And I get to a point sometimes where